It's a Dungeons & Dragons podcast that'll really make you think. We're spicing up the rules, mashing up the homebrews, and stirring up the debates. Add a little touch of our own, and you have Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. With your host, the Pirate Captain.
It's not because I took on an entire ship by myself and walked away unscathed just off good looks alone.
Chef Bolg.
I have in my rules for the original AG. Don't be a dick.
And Loke the Bard.
Lock the Bard. Bans all bards from his campaign. That wouldn't go over very well.
And without further ado, here are your hosts.
We be back at it again.
Yay.
Another fun-filled adventure with me boys. And a special guest, too. We're going to get to him here in a moment. How you be doing, Bolg?
Are you going to eat that?
It's a special guest, not a special feast.
Oh, okay. All right.
Arr. What about you, Loke? How you doing?
Oh, another day, another copper.
Aye. Welcome back, everybody. This is Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. I am the titular Pirate Captain, as always, with my bestest buddies, Chef Bolg and Loke the Bard. We have a lot to get to this episode, but first, I want to go ahead and shout out to the sponsor of this episode. It is our friends at the Red Dragons Workshop Studio. Make sure you guys go find them on Facebook. They do all our 3D printing now. Like, I refuse to go anywhere else. These guys have done some amazing work. You've seen the statues. If you can go onto our Facebook, Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captains, Recipes for Everything. Find us on Facebook, and it's going to be right there. I actually boosted that post a little bit. I wanted more people to see their stuff. So that's where we're spending our money. It's on those guys. What little money we have. With that being said, make sure you guys do find us on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up and a like, and make sure you follow, share, and subscribe to us on wherever you find our podcast. You can email us, bolgandpc@gmail.com, and that's how you're going to stay in touch with us. But now, this guest I've actually been planning on probably since about episode 3 or 4. I just wanted to make sure it was a good time to bring him in when we actually had nice things and we could do nicer stuff, because he comes from a land of high quality stuff when the computers were held together with gum and duct tape. And this is my friend, my original mentor in radio, my buddy Nick. Nick, how you doing, man? Good, man.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing, it's my first day in radio now.
It's everybody's first day every time. It's good to see you. I'm happy for you, man.
Dude.
I like your crew. How you guys doing?
Hey, all right.
You guys are all happy. Like your tats, dude.
Happy-ish.
You're like, you guys are all cool people. Look at all of you.
We are not cool. I mean, you look at us from
So
the
cool.
inside.
You
We're
guys are very
literally
cool.
doing a nerd podcast.
You guys invited me in, so you guys are cool by me.
It is the cool thing now.
I appreciate it, man. Nick, tell people who you are. I know who you are. You don't have to tell them about how I know who you are, but tell them about who you are now that makes you important to this.
Makes me important to this now.
Yeah.
I am a cast member of a Dungeons & Dragons persistent campaign called Weird and Wild. It's developed by a guy named Jason, who goes by the Wizard. He has been developing this world called the Twixt. It's based in the Spelljammer rulebook, if you guys are familiar with that. It's a lot of space, but like if space were done with magic, right? And he's developed this world that we have played in a persistent campaign with multiple side stories and different characters and things for about 3 years now. And we've gotten to the point where he's now sharing that with other people. We play online in a virtual tabletop, and we do it every Friday on Twitch. And now he's also branched out. He's now a professional DM, and he does group campaigns, custom for people that want to join in that world. So you can either have your own story set in his world, or he'll write you his own. He's a very gifted storyteller, and I'm super happy to be able to take part in that. And like you guys know, having a good group of people that you can play with on a regular basis, you really can get invested and actually enjoy Dungeons & Dragons and the storytelling and the things that go into making it a cool game other than just throwing some dice and doing some voices.
Yep, make sure you guys go find him. It's God Mode on Twitch if you're going to watch the streams. I've watched the streams. I've donated my money. There's some unique things that he does to engage his players. We're going to ask about that later. GAWD_mode, MODE. That's how you're going to find him on Twitch. And it's pretty much wherever you're going to find him else. He's got a whole website. You can go to his YouTube, the Twitter, everything. Patreon. Is that, and you gave us a link before, and I was trying to pull that up. Go ahead, Mr. Producer. That's your job now.
The LNK.bio. Yeah.
That one I want to see because that's where you can actually go and pay for a whole campaign setting. And what you were telling us is that he can go in and he'll customize it to the way you want it. He only does campaign settings. He won't do one-shots anymore, and I understand why. But this is it right here. Thank you. Man, I guess you can fill into some of these seats as well. So if you're looking to play just for a quick session, you can do that because it's
Right.
2 seats left, 1 seat left. Yeah. So how did he become a professional DM?
He just took the leap of faith. So I've been friends with him for a while now, and it's just been something he's been passionate about. He started out playing Call of Cthulhu,
Right.
which is a complete departure in different scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Different world. Yeah.
It's a completely different world. A little bit too spooky for me. I get goosebumps just thinking about stuff like that. It's not really my thing. But he started there and got comfortable with telling a story and working collaboratively with people to tell a story and host a game. He moved into Dungeons and Dragons, and then he just I'm gonna write my own world. And so we have helped with different parts of it as the players, developing our characters and where they came from and backstories and there's this, that, and whatever. And especially in that Planescape / Spelljammer kind of world where there are different worlds attached to the main hub.
Right.
He's got this almost like what would you say? A Stargate or like a Sliders type feel to his campaign where as you're traveling around, you just end up in like a whole different world with a whole different, like maybe there's a high fantasy world, or maybe there's like a cyberpunk world, or maybe there's a steampunk world, or here's like a low fantasy like caveman world, or here's like a sentient plant world. And we're able to traverse it based on what kind of story he wants to tell at the time, and it keeps it fresh. So with
How do you play the same character throughout all these, right?
We have played the same characters, but the cool thing we've done is we've taken breaks and done like side stories. So we've just re-rolled characters and put our characters on hold, brought up new characters, and we've done this all online too, where then we bridge the stories. Like, okay, while this was happening, there was this other thing that was happening. Let's play those characters, and we'll do that for 10, 12 sessions and wrap that story up and then go back to the main characters. So kind of like asides.
Oh, man, it's like an anime. It's the side arcs in an anime, the ones that you kind of skip and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Do you guys like let people know too that they can skip these episodes and it has nothing effect on the regular story? That's pretty cool.
Right. So he on the Patreon there, right, to kind of structure where things are. Jason's written his own player's guide to his world called The Twixt, right? It's between worlds, so it's twixt, between, right? Cool. So what he's done is he's kind of wrote a companion guide to it, and then you pick it up and you can go through the PDF and you'll have like a whole encyclopedia of all the different characters and like a companion guide to what the different episodes are, and then all of the sessions are then published to YouTube, so you could skip and jump through like, hey, you know what? I really don't like combat. Like there are some people that just really don't like combat.
Yeah.
So you could just, okay, well, this is a combat-heavy episode. You don't want to see the combat, just jump to the end of it and you'll know what happened at the end of the combat. Or we've done like a side campaign of 15, 20 episodes where there was absolutely no combat. It was all theater of the mind. Like there really wasn't even a board. Like we just had the characters and we were telling a story and it was all like espionage and sneaking around and trying to like do a bank heist.
Yeah.
But there was no combat.
That's pretty unique. When you're not doing theater of the mind, you were talking about doing Roll20. And how does that work out with you guys being in different places?
Well,
with his world, because obviously to load maps into Roll20 is crazy. Like you can do it, but it takes some time. So he's got how much time? We'll get into how much time he's probably spending on this in a week. Yeah. So, but how does that work over when you guys go from theater of mind to the Roll20?
It works as a really good backdrop. So when you look at Roll20, right? You guys familiar with the virtual tabletop setting? So I won't like break in all of that, but for people that aren't, right, it's basically a website that everybody can join in on at the same time and then manipulate with like a chat box, and then there's a visual that one person drives. The way that we run it is we do two things simultaneously. Obviously, we use webcams, right? You can use it inside the Roll20, but we use Discord. So we hop in Discord together, and we're all have our webcams on, so we can all see each other, interact with each other.
Yeah.
And then there's the board in the middle. And what the viewers see, what the people who are following along, they only see the board and then our faces around the board, right? So they can see us interacting with each other, and they can see the pieces. A lot of times when you jump in on streams or you're watching people's things, you're only seeing the characters. right? So you either have to just listen and imagine, or you really have to watch the people and you got to see what they're doing, but you don't really get a feel for it. The Roll20 aspect of it allows Jason to develop the backdrops, have the battle maps available, have the character tokens. Like yesterday, he was on a stream. He spent 4 hours in Photoshop just making little tokens to put on the boards and just doing it live for everybody. He's like, okay, well, we're going to have some of these monsters and we're going to have some of these wolves and we're going to do. So I'm going to make tokens and I'm literally just going to clip art some wolves out and I'm going to source some art and I'm going to put them all together. And now, okay, here's my 4 wolves that are going to be
Now,
in
when
the
he
next.
does all this, does he use like the dynamic lighting and that kind of stuff where you only see what your character would see?
Right.
Or does it? And so the viewers watching at home see the whole map, but you're only going to see the 20-foot circle around your character.
Correct.
So that's
All
all
right.
you can react to. Okay.
Take note, Loke. All right, when you do your next campaign,
There's a reason. I spent when COVID first happened, and we moved to the Roll20 system to try. I spent hours setting that up, and for them to miss every bad guy,
Right.
and go straight to the key room and leave, and it's like 10 minutes they were in and out.
Yeah.
I had spent hours on that dungeon.
How does he keep from that issue from happening?
Where we
Better
miss out
dungeon
on important
design.
things.
Yeah.
He's just resigned himself to the fact that he'll miss out on some things. Like we did a session 0, right? You guys,
Yeah.
where we kind of like get together and just kind of workshop the characters, make sure they all gel together, get our voices down, kind of get the feel, really get in character. We spent 45 minutes messing around with a magic wishing well that was labeled wishing well. It was emanating magic. Everybody's arcana checks going insane for this well. Well, there's got to be something down there. Okay, well, I'm a dwarf. Lower me down in there. Let's go get what's in the bottom of the well. We literally spent all the time. I destroyed water in the well because I have a cleric. We gathered up all the platinum in the bottom, and it was a wishing well. So we spent all that time of the session 0 messing around in a wishing well.
That sounds like something we would do. We've we've spent an entire campaign or entire end of a session just to figure out if we were going to blow up the world or not. We have a voice of reason. He's a friend of ours that comes in, and whenever he goes on like a vacation, he goes like snowboarding or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we decide to end the world. We dropped a bomb on a city. What else have we done? We flooded the world,
Broke the moon.
broke the moon. Yeah, just normal, Final Fantasy stuff.
Why not?
Hey, it's crazy.
It's a good place to explore all those different, psychological and moral conundrums, right? Because it's on paper, and you can really get far out there because everything's got pointy ears and big teeth.
Oh, yeah, we'll go with moral conundrums. Like that's the one thing that's stopping half of us.
Well, it's that whole trolley theory thing where you're gonna kill one person or you're gonna kill 5, but the 5, or the one is a child and the 5 are old people. Which one are you gonna do?
I'm just gonna derail the trolley.
Yeah.
Just not even. I'm gonna leave the switch halfway and just let the trolley derail and ruin everybody's
And
analogy.
you kill all 6.
Yeah, you take the chaotic evil route and back it up and then roll them with the child. Yeah.
No, it's unique, and I've watched your stream on and off. I was actually gonna try and watch it last night, but I got stuck here doing work stuff, and I missed it. But you guys, I've come in. One way I love that you guys engage your players is you actually allow them to buy in and affect the roles. Now, how does that? Is that a system that you guys, as a player, can kind of be annoying? But first off, tell us what's the worst time that's ever happened that somebody has affected your role?
The worst time that a viewer has affected our role is when they decide to use the viewer points. You accumulate time spent watching. You can buy points in, and then you can buy inspiration, or you could buy a +1 to a die or whatever. People love to give inspiration to the DM during really crucial, give me a persuasion check, or he's gonna AOE the entire group. And it just completely just messes with everything we got.
Those are viewers that I like. Those are
They
ones
love
that,
chaos.
Oh yeah,
They love it.
That's the running theory in our group. Is I will always play the character that sows the most amount of chaos possible in a little amount of time, because with everything that I do, it gets hard to play in a steady game. And that's why I also kind of like the way that he's got his set up when he does that. You can kind of come and go out of these campaign settings versus the one shots. But I come in and out, and I try to figure out what I can do without actually either being totally evil. Or I try to be good and just do things what a good person would do, and somehow
Or throw a wrench in the party's efforts for the last 20 suggestions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. You guys, what? You guys were trying to take on this bandit camp, and then they had to go save a rabbit monk. Was the last one?
Yeah.
Which? Oh, you're terrible at this.
Your bunny folk that died like 4 times in a single
He didn't.
combat.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he
Well,
didn't die. He
so-
reached 0 hit points.
Yeah, it's not dead, just knocked out.
Here's how it goes. All right, so I'm going into combat. I look over my shoulder and I'm gonna go, okay. And then Chef Bulk's character was right behind me. I was like, cool, teammate, we're going in. We're gonna go fighting. As soon as I look behind me, there he goes. He's off. And so I'm like,
he
all
went
right.
right. All the rest of the party went left.
No.
All by
we
himself.
We went right first, and then he was like, you know what? I'm going left. Screw you guys. I'm going over there.
I had faith that you could take care of the problem yourself.
Yeah, well, you know what?
And
Let me
he
tell
was
you how
wrong.
much your faith is worth right now.
And he was wrong.
So I don't know. Maybe the
the
players
rest
would
of
have
the
been
party knew to stick with the 2 clerics who went left.
I didn't
Never
ask-
split the party.
I wasn't. It wasn't even that split. I was like,
It wasn't even that split.
it wasn't.
It doesn't have the word split in the sentence. It was split.
It wasn't that split. It was like, I don't know,
It was more than 60 feet.
the range.
you're out
of
of range.
Yeah,
you
you say
were out of
range.
range.
Yeah, it was
so
out of
you were
range.
more than 60 feet. You split the party.
Is that what the definition of split is now? Is
If it's
anything
for
more
me.
than 60 feet?
If you're out of range of heals, then you're split.
Yeah.
I thought my bunny good looks would, I was like, look, I'm adorable, like a Puss in Boots scene. I'm like, oh, you don't want to hurt me, and then they proceeded to try and fricassee me.
It's those herringons, man. They do what they want.
Yeah.
That and the tabaxis. You guys got tabaxis in your game?
We had a couple of them.
I
just do
allow
whatever they want.
everything.
He does.
Whatever the players want to play, I allow it.
Yeah.
I'll adjust.
Might as well.
So I mean,
Oh.
there is no race out there that you can't adjust for, even some of the broken ones.
He won't even let me play a dude in a bear costume. That's the weird part. He's like, oh, that sounds very flammable. I was like, it doesn't sound flammable at all.
But you could do it. That would be a flammable costume.
I don't know.
Okay.
I get very unique with things. Like things, when I create characters, mine have to be they'll be very unique and they'll have something specific about them. I don't like to do if he's a barbarian doing this and he's a bard doing that. Well, first off, I'll never play a bard. I will do something that is just completely opposite. I have this thing against bards.
No bards?
I don't like bards. Bards are
Why not? There's like so many different ones you could make. It
Exactly.
doesn't even have to be like a bard. It
exactly.
could
That's
be-
the thing is a bard can do everything, but it
But
can't do anything.
I'm currently playing a bard that's not a bard.
It's-
Are
It's
you
a
gonna
sword
say-
bard.
The 5e bard has become a blanket. You can do anything you want with
and
it.
that's what annoys me.
Bard, warlock. They're just like Swiss Army characters. You make them however you need to accomplish
Warlock?
your goal.
I like Warlock. Warlock is my favorite. The Hexblade Warlock, which my issues with Hexblade Warlock is I need them to flip 2 skills. I need the Hex Armor and the ability to move your Hex flipped. It's the only thing that would make them a better overall subclass. But I don't like Bards because Bards can do everything that anybody else does, but slightly better, and that to me is annoying. So why am I busy trying to be a wizard if you're just going to bring in a bard that's going to do it better? Like that just takes the fun out of being a wizard. You get these certain things that make a wizard, evocation wizard can sculpt the spells and stuff like that, but bards themselves are like, I can just cast the spell, and I have all your spells, and I have this spells, and I don't have to really do anything about it. Just remember the song that I played yesterday. Yeah. All right, do not like bards. So
Fair.
it's a whole running gag now. It's like every time we mention bards, I always have to tell people about why I hate bards. So
Yeah,
Well, now I know.
The jack of all trades and the magical secrets basically make them a little bit on the broken side compared to some of the other classes.
I mean,
But that's also what makes them fun.
Right.
oh.
It's a good one per party thing.
Absolutely. I can
Your
see
anchor.
I could see one per party, but then you get some parties that'll have like 4 of them, and they think they can get away with anything with a persuasion roll. That's the thing. I don't know if it's honestly that bards themselves that annoy me or bard players, because bard players believe that they can just get away with anything because they believe that persuasion rolls are just this get out of jail free card, and that's absolutely insane.
Says the captain who played a bard who convinced somebody to give him a +3
I used
shield.
a spell. I used a spell. I used the suggestion, and suggestion says that hey, I can make the suggestion, and if my save beats yours, then you're gonna end up kind of doing it as long as it doesn't harm or hurt you. Is the short telling of this one.
and his suggestion was loan me that shield.
Fair.
All right, see,
It's DM's discretion at that point. I mean, if
Yeah,
if
well,
you move
it
the
worked.
temperament of the character up one,
It
they're
worked, but
favorable,
he
it
hates
works.
it.
Yeah, I hate myself for my own ruling, and it's just like, gosh, man, it's a self-deprecation.
It's part of the storytelling. Like
Yeah.
you could, if you have somebody who's abusing it, you can either not create opportunities for them to abuse, or you can flat out tell them, I'm not going to be accepting those. So persuasion won't work here. You'll have to give me something else.
Yeah, and that's the thing,
No
though. is-
charisma check on this one.
Right,
So no
but
persuasion, no intimidation.
Yeah. So you're going to get players like that, though, and not so much as in this group, but you do find it. Like if you go out to, obviously you can't play with the same people forever. You know, things are going to change, things happen, people move, or, you know, the group just goes their own separate ways.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now you have this player that is going to come in, you're going to go into a game, and you're going to see these bards that are just like, well, I'm just going to sleep with the dragon. You're like, come on, man, be reasonable about that, and it just causes strife. So yeah, I don't know if it's bard players or bards themselves that really annoy me, but I would just want to make it easy and just say bards themselves. This has been bard therapy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it does have to go with the expectations.
Yeah.
And usually those are people. They're power game type people. I'm a total min-max person. I'll put that out there for everybody. I min-max, I crunch numbers, I do spreadsheets, I do all that kind of stuff. But I do it with the goal of having fun. Like I'm going to either cover all the gaps in the group, or I'm going to be really, really good at one thing just in case we ever have to face that thing. I'm going to do it. Like my group does not really like combat. So my characters are like hyper-tuned for combat. That way I smash everything, and then they don't have to do combat because I already killed everything. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. So when you run into the people that want to hook up with the dragon, you know, that's that frank conversation you have to have before you even start playing. Like, look, man, we're not doing all that. That doesn't happen. It doesn't come up. We don't do that here. If you bring it up, it's going to auto fail.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
And sometimes you tell them that, and you tell the pirate captain that, you know, the royal guard, no matter how good you roll this persuasion check, is not going to turn sides and join you.
Not going to happen.
So he knocks him out, kidnaps him, and takes him with him anyway.
Yeah. Well, then that's part of the story. It's like, well, if that wasn't work,
Well,
it's all about group expectations.
Well, little did you know,
Right?
That's exactly how that story ended up. We actually, so I love telling this story. This is that little sounder from the intro about how I took over a ship with good looks alone. So we come in, it's the final boss, it's the final session, and we go in and we're trying to, I'm like, hey, look, we don't have to fight. I was a swashbuckler rogue, and it's like, we don't have to fight. I really don't want to fight. I just kind of want to like take the loot and run. And the guard's like, well, I have to fight you. I'm with serving the queen. She's the one who makes it. I was like, look, you could stab her right now, and then you could be the boss. And like you're saying, it's that auto fail rolled, and then we ended up knocking him out. I had to make sure that we didn't hurt him, non-lethal damage to him. Stuffed his pants full of gold, took him downstairs. They were fighting a dragon, threw him over the wall. I ran, shanghaied a ship, and then we became the legendary Dick-Face Pirates.
I like it.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's the story I still love telling today. Me and a friend of ours that was on, how many episodes ago was that?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. And when he tells it, and the way, because he's more animated about it, and he's pretty much like our best voice actor in the entire group of us, and he tells it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's the what episode we last loaded onto the Facebook, so it's up there if you want to go back and listen to it.
I will have to go check it out.
It's not the feats. It's the feats episode.
Oh, it is the feats episode. So then it's episode 18. I've been loading these up.
Yeah, it's the
I've been
Feats
lo-
episode because that was a big.
That was the dark vision thing.
Yeah.
The dark vision debate. Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many things. Back to this though. We're talking about streaming. We've got my buddy Nick in here. He is a part of God Mode Gaming and his Twitch and his stream with his whole world. He's the game master and a wizard from the future. He has arrived to take over Twitch, and I believe that. If you guys actually get a chance to go check him out, GAWD_MODE God Mode on Twitch. They stream every Friday. They're always playing a good game. You can interact. The longer you sit there and watch the stream, the more you can screw my buddy Nick over. So this is the way I would do it. It's been fun when I actually have the time to sit down and watch those. I remember a couple years ago, every Friday, I was watching you guys. I wasn't using my roles or anything to mess you guys over. I just kind of wanted to see how the story played out. I was like, if you're unlucky enough to know me, that's all the unlucky you need in the world.
Nah,
So-
you're good, dude.
We're in-person big players, and like we said, we've tried the online, and it just didn't work for us. What kind of tips would you give for somebody who's trying to get onto the Roll20 system or play online? What do you do differently to make those kind of games work as opposed to a in-person game?
We do a couple of things that are beneficial. I think one that we do is we kind of get together before we start the session, maybe about an hour or 45 minutes or so before, and we just start either talking or we play some sort of like party game, like a hangman or a Pictionary or a, password, where we're all kind of interacting with each other and kind of getting going in that mindset, that headspace. And then we slowly transition into our characters, and then when it's showtime, it's showtime. Consistency is key. Mm-hmm. Taking notes, being engaged, always showing up, playing to play. Always making sure you're kind of keyed in, and then realizing that the game itself, and whether you're in person or online, it's only as good as everybody makes it, right? So if you're having an off night, don't try and hog all of the dialogue.
Right.
Don't try and be the story piece for the episode. Let somebody else kind of take over for a bit. Or, if you're rolling bad, we all have cold dice every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Don't be sour, right? Don't be salty and bring everybody else down. Just roll with it. It's just storytelling.
Yeah. If I was sour every time I had bad dice,
I'm just not DMing
I'd be
anymore,
a get
guys.
off your lawn, grumpy old man by now.
Oh, you don't even have a lawn.
Exactly.
We do, I mean, when we come up into these shows and stuff like that, we actually do that before. Before anytime we do an episode, we sit down an hour beforehand, have lunch, and we talk. Hey, man, we set out. Hey, this is our expectations. This is what we want to accomplish within the next month. Between now and the next episode, this is what we're talking about this episode. And I think that's why this comes out and gels so well. And I think that most players could honestly benefit from just a few minutes of not actually playing the game beforehand. Because you guys, they play back-to-back sessions. Saturday, I'm usually busy trying to get some stuff done here, and it doesn't. I think it would be if you guys went out and played. I would say Hangman. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that actually is a good idea to before they play on the online, because in person when you have that side talk that the people who are not currently the active people, you get that. Hey, how's your wife? How's your kids?
Yeah.
Crosstalk. It's not interrupting anything. The DM's working with the other player. You get that in the live game. It's not a big deal. In the online where everybody's on the same speaker channels, that very distracting, very difficult to work with.
Right.
So getting all that out of the way before you start the actual D&D, I think that's an excellent tip. That would make things. And it's definitely not something we did when we were trying.
No.
Might be part of our problem.
Yeah. We do it differently. I try to treat this like a production meeting. The background, it's how I met this guy, was in radio, and so a lot of it I treat the same way we did when we had to come out and we had to have the creative meetings and things like that. Not near as what we had to go through, nowhere near. But at the same time, holding that same concept, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about what we want to do, how are we going to accomplish it, how are we going to get from A to B, and then once we get to B, what are we going to do at C? And now we've obviously incorporated Mr. Producer over here, who's not allowed to talk yet. He doesn't want to talk, so we just said, okay, you're not allowed to talk. But
yeah, I agree with that.
Sometimes
you're doing a great job holding that chair down, dude.
But I think these conversations would take any player a little bit further. How do you keep the players involved on the Twitch stream? Because I want to get into that too, about how you guys, not only did you guys start doing y'alls, but how to actually start it, because there are players out there who probably have a pretty good group and could actually tell an entertaining story. But how do you keep outside of that they get to a, sorry, getting a little tongue-tied here. How do you keep players or viewers engaged outside of actually just being able to change and foresee the roles?
I think a big part of it, one is being able to see us on the cameras interacting with each other. Two is the players themselves. The DM is doing 100 different things, right? You got your story you're trying to drive. In a digital space, Jason's queuing up music. He's queuing up all the different effects and things that are going on, trying to really make the ambient setting. As players, I feel what we do is that's important would be talk to the people in the chat, recognize as they're playing along, if they're going to take the time to, I dropped my pen. If they're going to take the time to put us on,
right,
So we're not screaming into the ether. Because realistically, we play for ourselves, right? We play because we enjoy playing with each other. We want to share that with other people. We're not playing as, hey, it'd be really cool if we got people to watch us play. I think that's kind of backwards and kind of getting away from it. But if you're going to take the time to click on our stream and you're going to take the time to comment like, wow, that character looks really cool, or hey, that's an awesome song. What is it? Or talk to them. Treat them with respect. Just like if somebody were to come into your home, right?
Yeah.
Think about you guys play the traditional game on your table, right?
Yeah.
And somebody comes in, hopefully somebody brings some pizza, or you bring some wings or whatever, and everybody's, maybe you got the game on or whatever. You're creating that atmosphere, right? Like you said, talk to them, find out how they're doing. Hey, what's going on? Hey, thanks for coming back. It's like 2 weeks in a row. Or hey, I appreciate you throwing in the subscription. Or hey, like, thank you for giving me inspiration. Look what happened. Like, if I didn't have that inspiration, I would have failed that check. My character would have been knocked out.
Yeah.
Right? Letting them know that they're impacting your story, I feel, gives them a reason to be engaged. Like, how many times do you do X, Y, or Z? You walk into a shop, you go somewhere, and just nobody talks to you, nobody looks at you, whatever, and then you disconnect and you take off. So same thing with streams. Like, we don't stop the game. We don't stop doing what we're doing. But when it's not your turn, you're paying attention to the game. So you can also pay attention to the people in the chat.
You guys probably have like some downtime while he's preparing the next bit that you guys can actually sit there and talk to him. So I guarantee you that's like a good time to get into him.
There's a very little downtime, but yes, that's when we kind of pick it in, because Jason's really, really good with keeping everything queued up. He's got this like multi-layer system he runs where he's got all of the maps kind of like stacked on top of each other, and he deletes a layer and he goes to the next one. So it's almost like one of those big flip boards that people would write on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he runs it. He's like, okay, well, when you go here, you're going to go here, and then let me just drop the tokens on the board. He prefabs a lot of stuff, so I think it kind of speeds it up.
Having
and keeps
D&D
the downtime.
DM through Roll20 like that is a lot of work he's doing to set all that up. I gotta give him mad props for that.
How much time in a week
Yeah.
does he like spend on that?
Well, now he's full-time, so now he's probably spending more than 20. But back when he was working full-time at I want to say he was like a graphic artist for something somewhere, and I don't quite remember what he was doing, but he would spend a good 15, 20 hours, and what he couldn't do, he would then commission artists. Like, hey, can you make character art for all of my PCs during this campaign? Or, hey, like, I need a dungeon map, and I'm terrible at drawing dungeon maps and coming up with good encounters. I'm either going to buy a player's book that's got dungeons in it, or I'm going to find different people in the marketplace that make dungeons, and I'm just going to take it and cut out this part because I don't want it, and there's my dungeon.
I wonder if he's ever gotten something from our buddy James. We have a friend of ours that actually publishes whole modules and stuff like that. That's been his bread and butter for like what, 15, 20 years now. Like
Yeah,
he's been
something
doing
like
it. He's been doing it forever. Over at
Tacitus.
Tacitus. Thank you.
Tacitus Publishing. Yeah.
I never say it right. But
If he hasn't, I'm going to buy one and give it to him as a gift. So.
I appreciate that, man. James has actually been. He used to run our Adventures Guild for a long time. That's how most of us ended up meeting each other. And he does some pretty good stuff. So it's crazy to think that if you can do it full time, I guess you've got plenty of time in the day. But to try and stack that on like a regular job and being creative and be a content creator on any of these platforms, it's hard to get started. And I guess how did you guys get started? Like, how did the idea come up that you guys were just going to do this on Twitch one day?
Well, we were playing the game, right? We were playing in the Twixt, in this world. Basically, if you break it down like seasons, like season 1 was offline, just trying to figure out. It was Jason's first time DMing a Dungeons & Dragons game. Like, he had been playing Call of Cthulhu for a long time with these people, and we had all met each other kind of loosely in this area. Now we all live in different parts of the country, so we play online. But we kind of then got the idea is, well, we're already playing for 3 or 4 hours a week. Why don't we see if anybody's interested in the story? So then he just decided, let me convert it all to digital, and let's make that jump. And then we just started playing online. It wasn't really like a grand plan. It just kind of evolved into, hey, we're going to play digital. Hey, I'm going to have a channel, and I'm going to branch out.
Right.
How many seasons are you guys up to now?
We have 2 seasons in the main story with the main campaign, and then we've done 3 kind of side arcs, and we're about ready to start the 4th side arc in about 2 or 3 weeks. We just got commission art back for all the characters. So
Oh,
now
yeah.
I'll show it to you guys either now or whenever. But
You gotta
So
show-
for a listener who hasn't listened before, this would be a good. If you're about to start a new arc, it's a good time to jump on.
we're about to jump in. It'll be called Lucent Odyssey. It's going to be a hex crawl survival, kind of like Oregon Trail. It's going to be based in this jungle environment on one of the planets that's in his campaign. And we're trying to take a wagon from one end to the other end for whatever reason. I don't want to really give the
Yeah,
story away.
no, you
'cause
shouldn't. You
He's
shouldn't.
still in the
Yeah.
middle of kind of buttoning up all of it. But there's a group of adventurers that have been commissioned to get this wagon of supplies over to the other end of the Celestial Cradle, is the name of the area on the planet.
Man.
And as you know, jungles are haunted, jungles are spooky, jungles have all sorts of crazy beasts in it. So as he was making these tokens, I mean, you guys ever play that game Impossible Creatures a long time ago? Or you got like sharks with crab claws and things like that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of spooky things that he was cooking up on these tokens. He was making a lot of weird creatures and a lot of things that I don't want to run into.
So does he homebrew a lot of stuff, like a lot of creatures and stuff like that, or does he pull from other sources?
He sources a lot. He will homebrew his plot point characters. So he'll roll characters or he'll roll little minions or whatever he needs to, but he'll use like monster manuals. He'll go on the workshops or the marketplaces, and he'll give full credit during the games. Like, hey, I pulled the monsters from this episode from this guy. This guy has given us monsters here. He published a book. You can go find it here, wherever. And he really tries to make it a community effort.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he will, like, he'll take, if there's goblins and he doesn't want just goblins, he'll re-roll their stat blocks or he'll add on extra attacks or bonus actions to them just to give them flavor for the world. He's really good at stuff like that.
Yeah. He's it seems he's I'm going to read right from his page. It's startplaying.games is where you can find sorry. Long day. You guys can find our friend Jason. He is God Mode about doing this again. He's God Mode Gaming here on Twitch, GAWD_MODE God Mode. And you guys are going to want to go to the startplaying.games. You're going to find it. He actually has, you can commission him to come to be your GM. That's how he's a full-time DM, a professional GM. The only one I think we've had on the stage, because I don't think James is a professional one, is he?
No, it was something he was looking into, but not he
Yeah.
wasn't.
It's one of those work in progresses. His GM style is a balanced mix of 3 pillars of D&D: exploration, social, interaction, and combat. Once I feel a particular group, I do my best to lean into whatever pillar the players seem to prefer. So he's gonna, from what it sounds, is he will build the world to you if you guys go and buy a module from him or buy no, it's not a session because campaign, because I don't want to sell it as a session because I guess he was having issues with the one shot.
So yes and no. Originally, the way he started professional DMing is he was doing strictly one-shots. It was called Wild Force. The characters in the game are called Wild Knots. They're like adventurers that kind of do whatever they want to do. So what he was doing is creating these one-shot campaigns called Wild Force, where you literally could just, hey, I want to play a game. Here's my character. Roll it. You can play the same character. You can re-roll every time. What's happening is people were not following through on their commitments. So he said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to host full campaigns. Now, if you want to just get a few sessions in the campaign, you go sign right up. Okay, I only want to play 4 sessions. Well, that's going to get the group started, and then he'll find a place to drop your character off, and then you can pick it back up when you want to play again. He's very flexible when it comes to storytelling because, like, you guys, when you play, like, there's so many ins and outs. There's so many ways for characters to jump in and jump out. There's so many ways you can write somebody off screen and bring them back, no matter what kind of setting you're playing. Like, if you're playing, like, you guys are pirates, right, and you have a ship. Well,
No,
not
I mean,
pirates?
no, I'm the only pirate.
Oh, you're the only pirate.
Yeah.
My mistake.
No, you're good. You're good.
So let's just say, like,
We go with it though. We'll go with the pirates on a pirate ship.
so let's say pirates on a pirate ship, okay? Right? You pull into a port. Well, we left him. And now all of a sudden he's at the next port we're at 8 sessions later. Well, how'd you get here? Well, and then you just fill that part in and then you go.
Yeah.
So it's
think
really good.
I think that
Even with home games, I mean, people have lives. And real life sometimes keeps them from showing up for a session or two, and you gotta
or a year.
you gotta work around it.
Yeah. I think that's great because it's sometimes the downtime in between, because then you have we do it the way we do it. When you leave, you come back, you just stay at the same level. All right.
Right.
But how did you get there? You couldn't have just, sat at one place for the entire time and been like, yep, I leveled up here. No. All right. You've actually have had to have done something. So we have gotten into the point, like I used to actually write what my characters were doing in the side time when I was actually more active in the current campaign. I was like, you know what? I have to be gone for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. I was either doing army stuff or I was sitting here doing work stuff, and I just couldn't be there. And so I started writing down what they did, and it actually makes it more fun. So the fact that he'll help them out and like write you back into the story, it actually shows that he cares as a DM.
Yeah, and then it's always up to the group too. Like there are people, if you look at those postings, those people really don't know each other, but through Discord they can have a group chat, they can kick ideas back and forth with each other, they can meet up on a regular basis and talk before their game, and they can really fill out like, okay, what's everybody's character's goals? What do they want to see? What are they interested in doing? And then let's create a story.
Yeah.
So
This is, in the end, it is a social game. So
Yeah.
you're playing with these people on a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever the schedule that your game is set at. You become friends with those, even if they were strangers when you started out. After 6 months, a year, you're going to become real life friends with these people.
Is that right there on the nose or something? You're
Yeah.
trying to, yeah. It's exactly. I mean, what we started. We won't say the shop's name because we're friends with another shop. It's kind of a competition thing. So we started it with one shop, and I walked in. I just got back from my deployment, and I was like, I want to play D&D. So I walked in. And that's how I met James, and I sat down, and I met Bolg here, and I met. This was before you because I didn't meet you until almost like 5-6 months into it.
It was me. It was Nigglewart.
Nigglewart.
Yeah. I don't think
It was
Drava and her papa were there yet.
Yeah, no, not yet. Bacall wasn't there. We had the Air Force guy that used to make fun of hardcore.
Other Air Force guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the other Air Force guy.
The other Air Force guy. He was nowhere. Yeah, no.
Air Force.
Yeah. And then we eventually met Loke, and then it just before or after COVID, we
And
still
Mr.
played this.
Producer over there.
And Mr. Producer, yeah. I almost inducted him into the Army. I tried. But it evolved from there, and it's nice to know that there are GMs that are actually trying to continue stories and keep players together like that, because sometimes you get that where, they can't do it. And if he's going to actually maintain a story for an individual character, and Loke's actually really good about that. If you write it into your backstory and you sit there and you hand it to him, because he'll read most of them, not mine and Bolg's. They
I
turn
read
out to
them all. It's just
they turn out to be novels.
when they're 10 pages long, your memory kind of falters. You put that detail in there? Gee, I might have read that, but I don't remember it now.
But he goes in and he makes sure that there's actually elements of the story that'll actually pertain to you. And sometimes you end up getting wrapped around one character's quest on the story. Case in point, that they ended up going after one guy because of one person, not because the party had any affiliation with it. Mm-hmm. It was just because that they wanted to go after that one, this one guy, and he convinced them, and that's how we ended up.
Recently we had where in your current campaign, my sister in that campaign was like, I was searching her down. That was one of the things I was trying to do. Found her and was just like, forget her. Let her die.
It happens.
That was the group's call, and I was like, well, I have to keep going.
In the group, in his defense, she did become a vampire in between.
And we somehow became vampire killers.
It's weird.
And Grave Cleric had a little bit of a problem with it. So.
But I'm impressed with what you guys are doing. Like, first off, it's hard to get a following on Twitch. It
is hard.
It is absolutely. There's so many people that think that they've got this great personality. Actually, there's a guy that I worked with here where we're at. He actually does. He has a great personality, and he does a pretty good. He streams like minor games, like little indie games and stuff, and it works out. The fact that you guys have the amount of followers that you do, you probably have a pretty regular audience by now. That's impressive. What you guys ever go on break and stuff like that, or hiatus for like a week or so? How does that work out for them?
Yeah, we have taken breaks. It's like you guys have said, sometimes not everybody can make it. We have a rule where if one person is out, we're going to play and somebody's going to take over their sheet. And those are some of the best times, because then like you have somebody doing an impersonation of somebody else's character, and it really, really gets crazy.
And they suddenly become the one that checks for all the traps.
Right, yeah. They play the character completely different, or it's a lot of fun. But on the weeks where we have 2 or more people out, it's kind of like, well, what do we do? And those are the times where we really try and hang out. Like, we'll throw the cameras on and we'll play party games. Like, we'll play Jack in Box.
Yeah, we
Right.
do Jackbox.
We'll play Jackbox games. Hey, everybody in chat, because we'll have like 20, 25 people kicking around at a time on a good night. Hey, everybody grab your phone, grab your browser, come play Jackbox with us. And we'll do it in character. We'll mess around. We'll have people in. And we'll just kind of keep it going. That way there's at least something going on. Or we'll let everybody know in advance. Hey, look, just I can't make the session this week. Okay, guys, we're gonna cancel it. Let me put it out there on the social media stuff. Hey guys, we're not gonna be playing this week. We'll we'll have it play the last week's episode or whatever. We'll have a different campaign play that in that block. That way you can catch up if you didn't watch our other story with our other characters. And then here's the link on YouTube if you want to go catch up through that whole playlist.
Yeah.
But staying engaged, I think, is key. Is some weeks you don't go. Some weeks you just do nothing. Hey, we're busy. Hey, I'm not feeling it. Hey, whatever. But communication's key.
Yeah.
Don't leave people hanging.
Yeah, when we designed this podcast, I was saying this before, that we try to do something different. Everybody else wants to play. First off, not everybody is able to pull the Matt Mercer off and things like that, where it's, they're all sorry, man, it's been a long day. So they're all professionally trained voice actors, and they can create these new characters every time they walk into a place. And for us, it's a little bit harder. But the big thing is, when we did this, we're going to talk about the homebrews, the rules, the things that other people are either asking questions about, things that they may want to know, like how to maybe even start, how to start streaming on Twitch, how to even start a podcast and stuff like that. And that's the thing that we're trying to do now, is maintain this momentum. And that, I think, is key to anything. So I'm glad that you guys are still doing it, that you guys have found ways to fill in those block times. Whew. Sorry. It's a lot of words. A long day, longer, and even longer afternoon.
Well, you got a good team. You got to play hot potato. It's like, next man up.
Sometimes these guys do pretty good. Sometimes I have to look at them and go, really? Did you let me just say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to let you fail because that's the best radio.
Oh.
It's when you roll that nat 1, you got to deal with it.
You have to deal with it.
Got to deal with it. We've been trying to get people engaged and doing some of the stuff. We've had minor engagements throughout. Right now we're doing trying to push a little bit of our Facebook stuff. We actually tried to figure out, what was the Pirate Captain's dumbest arguments, because apparently my arguments are dumb. Everybody comes back an episode later, well, let me tell you where you were wrong right here, and let me tell you about, and you're like, all right, cool, I get it. It was the worst ever. And so now we're trying to get people to figure out, what my dumbest argument was, and it's definitely
being wrong is half the fun. I mean, sometimes you play a rule that it's just because it's more fun to play it that way than it is actually the raw rule. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you add your own rules.
I mean, the bouncing flaming sphere is probably one of the best things you've ever come up with, and it's wrong. It's so wrong.
Yeah, it was the idea, just like written, the way it was written, it seemed like you could take a bouncing sphere and you could bounce it.
Okay.
Essentially, as it's called. And it would do the damage because it had to move so much. But what it is you can't actually do double damage because it's only the initial damage or the regular damage. And so the way I read it, and I took it as face value, is like, oh, we can create a sing-along song right here. And I think I was a bard at the same time. No, I may have been an Evok wizard because I was trying to avoid blowing people up. But at the same, neither.
Yeah, he was basically taking the damage multiple times in a single round by using the flaming sphere 30 feet or whatever, 20 feet, whatever the rule is that you can move it with a bonus action.
Okay.
5 feet back, 5 feet forward, 5 feet back, 5 feet forward. But he was going straight up instead of back and forth. So
Well, hey, table rules, right? It's a player or a dungeon master guide. Yeah. It's a handbook. If you don't want him to be able to do 100 million damage in one turn, that's not allowed. But if for whatever reason you needed it to happen, it can happen.
Have you guys?
And that was the early day. 5e was still pretty new when we're talking 4 or 5 years ago when we misread that rule, and eventually we learned to do it the right way.
Yeah. Have you guys had any rules that you have had to change on the fly, be a part of, or something that you guys have said that, or even into a next session that said, hey, we're just not going to do this either. It just doesn't make sense or it doesn't feel right to the campaign?
We have. Trying to kick around in my head what specifically. Usually we mess with three force cover.
Yeah.
Right. That one's a little bit weird, especially on our digital boards, right? You're supposed to be able to draw a line, and if you can only hit a certain amount of the squares that they're in, then it's that amount of cover. We usually just rule it like, okay, it makes sense that your character can kind of look around the corner, do what it needs to do, and then still be in its occupied space. Like, really try and flub the rules for the spirit of the game, not so much the letter, like the rules is written.
Yeah,
raw.
we've discussed here, like when I've changed my games, I don't like the way fall damage works.
No.
By raw, because I had players who are in this room jump off 50-foot castle walls, tank the 46 damage that would generate because it would save them the round to take the stairs.
Right.
And that's just unrealistic. That's not the way the game's meant to work.
Not in the spirit of the story.
Yeah, so, I've increased the way every 10 feet you add another D6 so that you wind up, getting 66 of damage jumping off and then you're less likely to just jump off
And that wasn't
for
even
speed reasons.
that wasn't even barbarian me. That was cleric me.
Oh, well,
Exactly.
you got levitate, you got
No.
a slow fall. No.
You gotta
Okay, well,
He just jumped.
blessing of
Jump.
protection. That's
Okay,
all
well,
it is.
hey.
You got to bop it.
But
sometimes
when
you have to bop it.
you have
yeah.
your level 10 with toughness, you have a high con, and you're looking at with 100 hit points already,
Yeah.
that the odds that you're going to take 12 damage jumping off that wall, it's worth the round.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even.
And then riding the Draco Lich down
Okay.
and slamming into the ground.
Well,
Still managing
we-
to survive.
we-
Yeah, that
we
was a
s-
fun,
we
that was
get
a fun
into some-
session.
we get into weird
sounds
That was
things.
before I changed fall damage.
well, sometimes you got to do it. Another one we do is like encumbrance.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Hold on. What's your rule on encumbrance? Because this is probably going to go. Well,
We-
hold on. Chances are
like
it won't go my way.
Coin, like coin weight and stuff. Like if it's a realistic amount of things you're carrying, you can carry it. We don't want our characters carrying an entire town's worth of equipment in their bags.
3 malls.
Yeah.
Right.
What then? Somebody
Excuse
agrees
me,
with me.
But maul, a great sword, and a great axe. But that
Okay.
was all I was carrying, and I was a barbarian with greater than 20 strength.
That seems
and
fair.
an orc.
Yeah,
So I
that
got
seems
it.
fair.
Don't pander to them.
Or we make it a point to where, okay, every party for whatever reason has a bag of holding.
Yeah, that one.
That's
right.
the way I break it. Because
that I like.
that way I
but
don't have to worry about it as a DM. I don't have to babysit and parent. And,
I have to give that one. Like the bag of holding thing always does make sense. But like him and the 3 great weapons, you're like, come on.
Well, you got one, and then you carry one. And then
Don't help him out. Like I gotta
One
have
and
this
one.
one.
You-
in my-
you've carried heavier.
I know I've carried heavy. I've
You've
carried.
carried heavier.
Yeah, but that's not the point. That's the idea.
Do you have
is-
20 strength?
I probably not right now.
Well, you're a strong guy. You've carried heavier. It's
I
not that
definitely,
difficult.
yeah, I've definitely carried heavier, but I just not recently. There's a story behind that on the outside. Involves me and drinking, and
Yeah.
that's usually how it all starts. But I like there are certain rules in this game, and that's something that about this podcast that I like is discussing the rules that either just don't make sense and trying to make sense out of them. Hell, about a month ago that we talked about how to redo the whole mana system.
yeah, we
In the magic episode, yeah.
with the
Yeah.
magic episode. We did a whole episode on nothing but magic.
Yeah, it was just trying to figure out, well, like, because I don't like the spell slot system. I think the spell slot system is kind of archaic and could be redone into a modern, like we have it in video games. Why can't we do some sort of mana system? And I think the way that we talked about it would definitely work, and it can actually be better. It gives you a chance to be able to cast the spells that you want to cast and not be kind of hindered by a level or the fact that what was the big argument about that one that we
Well, it really came down to the the regeneration and long rest, short rest. And
that's what because it hinders certain classes that just don't like wizards and stuff. Like they've now had to go in and start rewriting the classes themselves, saying, "Oh, well, now wizards will get this on a short rest and stuff." And it was only the warlocks. So now you have really no reason to play the warlock, and you're taking away from the other classes just so this one class can feel a little bit better. So I think that a better mana system is, and that's what said. You guys are playing to entertain people. We're here to make people feel better about themselves because they're
We're here to
listening
make
to an
them
argue.
think.
Yeah, we're.
Yeah.
It's not very hard.
If we make you think, we gotta. I don't know. If I make anybody think, it's probably because they're thinking I'm an idiot. But it's all right.
That's still thinking.
That's true. I don't know. I'm impressed. Like I've enjoyed you guys watching you guys play the game.
Thank you.
You guys actually have like pretty good chemistry, and being in the industry that you've been in and I've been in, it makes or breaks an entire group. Like one person out that doesn't fit in can break a show, break anything, and you guys actually do that. Any tips for any player that's going to start up on how to build that chemistry outside of just being maybe because not everybody's been friends for years, but it doesn't.
Right.
Anything that you can suggest? I mean, I know you guys have your beginning meetups, and we've already talked about that. Is there anything else outside of that?
I think be genuine. I think putting yourself out there, especially in this community, right? We're calling it nerd stuff.
Yeah.
Right. We're all here for a purpose to throw dice, right, and do funny voices. Like that's preposterous. But let's all do it together, right? Now it's cool. So not being judgmental, being open to other people's ideas, right? It doesn't matter if you don't like orcs. I think orcs are cool. So
Thank you.
let me play my orc, right? Or it's like gnomes and furbolgs and things. Like let people be what they want to be. Let people do what they want to do. And really be comfortable with what you're trying to accomplish, right? Be comfortable with what you're bringing to the table. Like if you're invited to sit in the room or you're invited to sit down at the table with these people, you belong, right? But you got to reinforce that. You also have to show them that you care enough that you want to be there. So like when we'll invite in different community people, different other people that stream Twitch or variety streamers or whatever to come sit in as a guest character for a session or whatnot. They just go in on it. And whether they know the rules, don't be scared about knowing the rules. Don't be scared about not knowing how to play. Find a table where you're going to have a rules lawyer, right? Who's the rules lawyer in your group?
Baka.
Okay. So sit down next to that person and just when it's not your turn, hey, I don't understand. I don't understand spell slots, dude. Like, can you help me? Like, I don't understand how to use these hit dice when we rest. Like, what do I just throw them? Like, what do I do? You take them in, but at the same time, like, let people know. Be vocal about what you don't understand.
Right.
And I truly think that that's the key to developing a rapport to where you're comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you're going to have a much better time playing and being in character and experiencing the game for what it's supposed to be. And then if you just sit down and you're just like you're fumbling through your sheet 800 times and I'm only going to do this and I'm only going to okay, here's my turn. I swing my axe. All right, I'm done. Right?
Yeah.
Throw some flair into it. How do you swing your axe? What do you want to do? Like what does it look like?
Yeah, sometimes we get players that that are like that. It's timid. It's hard to be timid.
It's hard. It's very difficult. It's
hard.
very difficult to walk into a new setting of people, right?
Yeah.
But like, for example, right here, you guys welcome me in.
Yeah.
You guys are super cool. I don't know you guys,
Yeah, it's probably better you don't.
but you guys have been cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I'll hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
We can go grab got lunch for everybody afterwards, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why not?
Well,
Gotta do it.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like being but honestly, being timid can work for you as well. I think it'll help you play character. This game's about bringing the best out of people.
Yeah,
absolutely. You'll find it that you can actually put things from this game on resumes. But despite being a professional DM or anything, you can. Hey, I'm a critical thinker. I'm a problem solver. The charisma that you can build out of this game from this game will help out and make you a better person for the most part.
And this is a group game. I mean, if you are a timid person and you contribute your part, there are 8 other people there or 7 or however many other people you're playing with. That'll help you pick up the slack and keep the game rolling.
Right.
You're the timid person. Maybe you're not the bard going up and talking with everybody, but you can be there to, interject.
I'd go the opposite.
You be a druid.
If you're the timid person, you should play the loud bard.
You shouldn't play bards at all. You shouldn't play bards at all. I'm tired of bards. And
Yeah, play a background character, play a supporting character that's gonna cast a bless on somebody or use a guidance on somebody.
See somebody else who knows what bless is.
I know what bless is.
Bless is
I
probably
play support characters all day.
Yo, support characters are the best.
My first guy, my number one guy is a celestial warlock. So
you had me. Yeah, almost had me.
No.
Celestial warlocks just are weird. Like
they are weird. That's why I
because
play it.
they're,
It's like
back to
they're
that
like
Feats
clerics.
episode. The captain believes that you have to sell your soul to a demon is the only way to be a warlock.
No, my celestial warlock's patron. Well, I don't know how Jason's written it now. I'm gonna have to talk to him about it. But originally, his patron was an arboreal dragon.
Yeah.
So
That
he was good.
that's why he lost the argument. 'Cause there are other kinds of warlocks.
You can have whatever warlock you want. You got genie warlocks now. Those are pretty cool,
Yeah.
right?
They call them the Pokemon trainer ones. I just think it's the best way to kill your friends. You getting tired of all? You getting tired? Of course, I can take you guys across the water for free, and you just chunk that thing in the volcano or whatever. Like they're the best. They're the best TPKers that you never have to be. So I love.
No, the best TPKers are wild magic sorcerers.
No, man, wild magic sorcerers.
We had one of those in one campaign, and yeah, he would constantly bomb us with everything.
Yo, that's my kind of fun though. Like I love that kind of chaos. Like I don't know, might kill the enemy, might polymorph a friend, might blow the party up. You never know. It's entertaining. My issue with the Celestial Warlock isn't even so much that you have to sell your soul to a demon, but if you're selling your soul to a celestial thing, aren't you a cleric already? Because isn't that what clerics essentially do? Is sell their souls to God?
No.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not soul selling. It's being empowered. Right. You look. The traditional rules is written in the handbook that you got there. Yeah, it's you've made a pact.
Yeah.
Right, but just like paladins have oaths, why can't your pact be, hey, I'm going to do all that is good and sparkly, and in exchange, I need sparkle juice. And that's your warlock.
Very different from a bard sparkle juice.
Yeah, as I say, I remember Sparkle Juice the Bard.
Right?
I don't think so. Like I think when you're dealing with divine, because that's what celestials are. They're divine.
Yeah.
I think you're more that divine just is very counterinductive of what a warlock has always been. Like I'm here to sell my soul to those that are either not getting they're either the bad gods, like the ones that just don't either get what they deserve because everybody's, oh well, this one's bringing me good farm or this one's bringing me war, and they're like the ones that are like Cthulhu or things like that.
Yeah,
so
and
or a genie for some reason.
Novel wise or outside of D&D world wise, that is the only warlock there is. There are other warlocks in D&D.
Yeah.
Warlock is an archetype rather than a specific
And
storyline.
Even in real world mythology, warlocks exist. The Huldra is a mythological creature that was out in the forest. If you manage to please the Huldra, sexually, yes. If you manage to please them, they enhanced your abilities. They are quite literally warlocks. Warlock patrons. Huldra. Huldra. Huldra.
Yes.
Please them in the forest.
Yeah.
Okay. So, God.
We're going to the forest after this, oh?
I'm going to the forest.
All
Oh,
right.
you got to go to Norway, though.
Oh, even better. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know,
And
somebody who makes a deal with, say, an angel.
Yeah.
a planner, a
They
Kieran.
are not a god. They are definitely a less than. They are still a divine energy being.
Okay,
But
but it
they're
has to be an
less.
angel.
The deal
it
at the
can't be. It
crossroads.
can't be a god
a
because if you-
planner, a solar.
I can't. You can't sell me on it. I think when I
No?
think of warlocks, I don't even think that all warlocks are bad. I think even Cthulhu gets a bad name. What does he want to do? Really end the world? Vote Cthulhu 2024.
Have you seen the world?
Yeah, I'm saying vote Cthulhu 2024. All I'm saying is when I think of warlocks, I don't think of like beings of light. I think of the void, and I think a lot of that's probably based because of playing World of Warcraft for so long.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking of. I don't even think of like their warlocks as good warlocks. I think of the void in general, like what their shadow priests are. The darkness, the things of the unknown. Gods and celestials, you know what they are. They've been around. They've been always doing the right thing, but there's always somebody in the shadows. There's always There's always shadows, and somebody's pulling the strings.
There's
for them.
also dark gods and dark clerics.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, but aren't
Are
those
they
just
stepping
warlocks?
on the warlocks'
Yeah, they
toes?
definitely are stepping on the warlocks' toes. That's just I don't know. That's a lore thing I think with me. So that's my issue.
and
with
if you're DMing in your world, and maybe you make special rules that there are no
Man,
celestial.
that means I'd actually have to
warlocks
DM.
in the
Fine.
campaign.
Yeah, that's the brilliance of this game is it's up to how you interpret it,
yeah,
right?
Well, your interpretations are wrong. I'm leaving it at that. All right, we've had Nick in here with God Mode from Twitch. He plays in his campaign, God Mode, GAWD_mode, MODE. It's the Twix world. You can go find these guys, find them on Twitch, watch them every Friday for the campaign. They're getting ready to start their new one here in a couple weeks. They've got some side sessions you're not going to want to miss. He also has a professional GM. You can pay him to create a whole world just for you. you're going to want to do that. This episode also has been brought to you by our friends over at the Red Dragon Workshop Studios. You guys can go get all your 3D miniatures printed from them. They do a great job. If you really want to know what it looks like, go find us on Facebook, Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captain at gmail. Oh, sorry. That is the email. Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captain Facebook page. What, Mr. Producer? Oh, yeah, now I got to get the email. Thanks, Mr. Producer. BolganPC@gmail.com. And with that being said...
Well, I also wanted to throw a quick shout-out to Phoenix because we did mention them earlier as being one of the shops. And, they supply us with a lot of the stuff that we buy, especially Magic cards. That's where I go and get my new Baldur's Gate.
Oh,
the
man.
new Baldur's Gate set. I pulled Tasha as the commander in my first pack.
Oh, congratulations, dude.
Ecstatic.
He only spent like $1,000. This,
Well, that's what Magic is.
Yeah. With that being said, it's been a great adventure. I appreciate everybody. Follow us on Facebook. Find us, email us on Gmail. Go find our friends everywhere. We got more coming for you guys. With that being said, goodbye, Bolg.
Goodbye, Bolg.
Say goodbye, Loke.
See ya.
See you guys.
We appreciate you listening to Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything, featuring Loke the Bard, of course. Make sure you go find us on Facebook to see what old concoctions Bolg is cooking up in the kitchen. And if you want your emails read, then email us at bolganpc@gmail.com. And as always, happy adventures. Yarr.